to have you guys here today.
Yeah, of course.
Pleasure.
I have so much updates for Sebastian too. I'm like really impressed. He's loving Ani. Like Ani and him, they built a really cool agent that's doing stock trading.
Sick.
I
That's
know,
so
just
cool.
hilarious. He's learning a
Wait,
lot. He's
where
learned Replit. I'm like super impressed that my son, who's 11, knows how to use Replit. He also loves his Spanish te like
I
advisor
get
as
to
well
hear your
too.
update when you share with everyone. This is fun. This is the most fun for me.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I feel like he's really thriving. He's really enjoying this year in particular, which it's almost like, when they like almost, what's the word? They're maturing a little bit. They know like what they can do with this. And also I have a funny story. I don't know if I can say anything right now, but I'll say it. So I heard him on the computer and I knew he was doing his like, overview with his advisor, but then he was like cracking jokes and I was like, uh-oh, I need to go check and see if he's actually doing his work. But he was actually doing his work with his advisor. I was like, and he's like, oh, that's just my mom. Sorry. She was just checking to see what I was doing. But I was like trying to do a Spanish joke for you. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was so cute. Like
Wait, we've had a lot of stories from parents where the parent thinks their kid's not on the session with the mentor, but
yeah,
they're just having such a good
so much
time with
fun.
their mentor.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I was like trying to catch him on like, what are you doing? And then realize that they're just, they're doing their work and doing some jokes and hilarious. So yeah, it's really cute.
Well, thank you everyone for being here and getting our little authentic, unscripted intro. We got to hear the fun, what Dez's latest. Dez is a longtime Curious Cardinals mama. So yeah, she started younger than most, and now she's getting at
Yes.
the age of more of our Curious Cardinals family, so getting even more value year over year, which is the best. But we are so excited. We have an intimate group tonight, so please write in the chat your name, how old your kids are, where you're zooming in from, and we will get started. Um, a little for today, just a bit of background. So I'm Audrey. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Curious Cardinals. And joining me today, we have the amazing co-hosts Des and Karuna, and Jules, who is a Curious Cardinals mentor at Northwestern and is now on our full-time team. So how this is working, I'm going to share a little bit about Curious Cardinals, what we do, and then I'm going to hand it off to Des to talk about her experience, and Jules, a mentor, to talk about her experience, and we'll open it up to Q&A.
Perfect.
Amazing and fun. It's fun to know where everyone's coming from. So thanks for joining us. Awesome. So we're not playing the Today Show. A little bit of background. I started Curious Cardinals 5 years ago when I was a student at Stanford. I was a history major who thought I was pre-law with my 10-year life plan set and aspirations to be the next Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And then the pandemic hit. Stanford sent us home and I started tutoring kids online and working with those kids observed they weren't just disengaged and uninspired. They were absorbing and regurgitating what they read in a textbook and didn't know why any of it mattered. So that inspired me to apply what they were learning in school to their interests, the world around them, in hopes of making their learning feel like it actually mattered. One of them asked for math help. I was not as passionate about math, so I called Alec. Alec was an aerospace engineer at Stanford who loved math, and instead of drilling math equations, he showed them how math makes airplanes fly. And suddenly the kid wasn't just learning the math, he felt genuinely connected to it. And that's when we realized this is how education should work. Alec, the aerospace engineer, became my co-founder. Parents told their friends. We recruited our most passionate and inspiring college peers, and Curious Cardinals was born. It's 5 years later. We're a full-time team of 12 in San Francisco. We have over 800 college and grad student mentors working with thousands of students around the globe. And at the end of the day, we believe K through 12 education has lost the plot, and we aim to trailblaze the future of learning for kids. And so what is Curious Cardinals? One, it's about the best match and connection. There's nowhere else you can go where you can request a mentor who shares a love for soccer, who's also comes from the Bay Area, whatever it is that's most important to your kid and their identity, we match them to a mentor they can see themselves in. So they genuinely look up to the person they're learning from and look forward to their weekly sessions. This is someone they don't want to disappoint because they admire and respect them. Next is structured and measured. All of our engagements are goal-oriented, start with a check-in, end with a reflection, and though it's highly personalized, are working towards delivering real outcomes. 3, it's about the consistency. This is not a Band-Aid solution for Friday's test. It's about week-over-week meetings and teaching kids that Rome wasn't built in a day and learning that great things take time. And it's very empowering for kids to actually take agency over their learning, not just doing something that was assigned by a teacher for Friday's test, but again, they have agency in the learning. And then finally, at the end of the day, we want to inspire a love of learning in students. For us, it's all about kindling an authentic motivation. We talk about a lot in this AI future. There's a gap between the motivated and the unmotivated kid is going to become a chasm because the barrier to entry to create is so low. The bar for what we all want to engage with is going to be that much higher. And so the thing that matters most is the kid who's going to be motivated enough to do the work on their own and curious enough to follow up and ask AI, what am I missing? How can I do this better? How can I take this to the next level? And so we are all about kindling motivation in kids, which starts from igniting their spark. What is the thing that lights a kid up and gets them going? And that's what we're committed to helping kids do at Curious Cardinals. So what do we do specifically? We have academic mentorship. It's like tutoring, but tutoring is the T word because it has a connotation of being transactional, a remedy for Friday's test. We are so much greater than that. We are about learning, not just for Friday's test, but learning for life. And then second is the passion project, helping kids identify an interest and working towards project-based learning outcomes. And for us, it's yes, we want to help distinguish kids for college, but we're also thinking about what are the timeless skills in this AI era to prepare kids with the skills that will last them in this ever-evolving future. So before I continue and talk more about student examples, I'm going to hand it off to Des to talk about her experience with Curious Cardinals, and then we'll wrap it up with more about our mentors and how it works to get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Audrey. So I'm Desiree Motamedi. I've been working with Curious Cardinals now for a few years now. My son, Sebastian, who's now 11, he was actually more on the younger side, but I'm going to say he's loved this program from day one. We actually initially started out where Sebastian really loved math, but he wanted to do more in math. And so we decided to find someone who was kind of, could help him with his math skills, but also have an interest in the things that Sebastian was interested in, like soccer and all that. So we found a mentor who had the same passions and skills, and they became very close, which was really awesome. So really early on, I think Sebastian, being 9 years old, being in front of a computer was a little bit daunting, but very honestly, they built that relationship very early on. And I would say that it started out with some basic like math problems, and then they started doing things that were a little bit more complicated week over week. But I think what I saw in Sebastian was a friendship that was being also born through this, online experience. And it really got me thinking like, wow, if he's able to do this, in an hour's time every week, imagine how much more he could do even with other areas that he's interested in as well too. So that first mentor, he worked with him probably close to a year, maybe it was like 9 months to 10 months. And then unfortunately that mentor ended up graduating from Stanford and ended up moving to LA. And I'll never forget this because they got to meet in person, which was really nice because we live in the Bay Area. So we actually decided to do our last session together in person. And Sebastian, when he left, he's like, Mom, can we move to LA? I really want to be with him closer because he's so great and I'm going to miss him. So that was when I really realized the impact that the program has, and just again finding people that are like-minded and that they really do look up to them, which I think is amazing. So since then, Sebastian not only is doing math, he's now also has a mentor for Spanish. He also now has a really fun project that he's working on with someone on the East Coast. His name is Ani. I think he's going to NYU as his graduate school, but he's building an AI agent. And so Sebastian is really hilarious. He basically told me, he's like, Mom, I want to make money. I want to figure out something that I can like trade stocks. Could we do something like this? And I was like, what? You're 11. What do you want to do? What are you trying to do? So we decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if he could create an AI agent that does after hours trading and use it with fake money, but really set it up where the agent would give you ideas and look at the stock market and see how he's doing and performing. And so he's been doing this now for probably, I think, 6 weeks now-ish, or 5, 6 weeks. He's learned Replit, if anyone knows what that is. It's basically a vibe coding tool that allows you to use natural language on what kind of apps you want to build. He's actually learned it. He actually knew how to build the UI. He understands how the connections with the different APIs to the different trading platforms like Alpaca. So he's learning so much that I would never be able to do. But I'm just so impressed with the relationship that he's building with Ani. And then I would also say the other thing that's been fascinating too with the Spanish tutor, the reason we did that is because he was not doing really well in Spanish. And I hate to say this, but his brother, who's younger, was doing really well and he felt competitive, like, I need to do better in Spanish. So we got him a tutor. And now he is singing Spanish songs to me. He's like trying to talk to me in Spanish when he has time. So it just shows you again, these relationships really matter. And I really love the connection that happens across the mentors that we've been working with. And I think what I love about Curious Cardinals really are thoughtful about the personality of your child and how they can make sure that they're matched with the right person. So for us, it's been really positive and we're going to continue. And I think now Oliver, who is 9, is now probably ready to start doing Curious Cardinals now too, since Sebastian's been doing it for the last 2 years. I don't think age is an issue. I think if anything, it's proven to me that Sebastian has this idea that they're his friends and that they're people that he can like, call on and get help from. And I really love that. So yeah, we're really, really pleased with the program. So thank you.
Thank you, Des. You're the best. And it's what Des shares so beautifully is Curious Cardinals is not just for a kid who's struggling or a kid who's thriving. We take a holistic approach to learning. So you can come to us for a struggle in Spanish and make it a superpower. You can come to us for the thing that your kid thrives in and we can run with it. I like to say we're like the spinach in their milkshake, teaching them the fundamentals without them even realizing it. And so, yeah, that's, I think, the beauty of Curious Cardinals is the personalized match. The relationship makes a difference and it can help across a plethora of needs. So a little bit more about what we do. These are 2 awesome student examples. These are students who started with us 7th and 8th grade. Both girls are now 10th graders. On the left, we have Rose. Rose came to us. She didn't know what she was interested in. She loved jewelry and fashion. And we matched Rose with Phoebe, who is a math major at Brown and president of the fashion club. And it's 1.5 years later, and Rose has a thriving business. She's generated over $10,000 in revenue. She has a website, she has social media marketing happening, and she's donating all the proceeds to a maternal healthcare nonprofit. So she's a thriving businesswoman now, and a mentor helped her turn a cute interest in fashion and jewelry into a thriving business. And then on the right, we have Carson. Carson came to us, had no idea what she was interested in. She's an oldest child, so she's a natural leader and she's competitive. She's also has a badass working mama. And so her mentor helped her figure out she had some interest in why being a mother in the workplace affects her career trajectory. So with her mentor, they wrote an op-ed on this very topic and submitted it to the Scholastic Art and Writing competition in December. Carson won a silver key for her piece. And then she got super passionate about women knowledge on investing. So she started an intro to investing club at her school. Her mentor helped her start the club, create a curriculum, and then they did an intro to investing day for 6th graders at the school. And she taught intro to investing and financial literacy to 36 graders. She learned project management, curriculum, how to market the event, and now she's a 10th grader and scaling her organization. So these are examples of girls who started with us in middle school. And through guidance, through accountability, we help them go from not knowing what they're interested in to having thriving projects and that are really not only distinguishing themselves from their peers, but giving them the confidence to realize they're capable of anything they put their mind to. And the magic is working with these cool older girl mentors who they look up to, who they see themselves in, who they want to be like, who hold them accountable and show them what's possible. So it's not particularly a magic formula, but a lot of kids come not knowing what they're interested in. And that's kind of where we help figure out what's the interest, what's the skill they want to develop, or that's a superpower they want to hone, what's the medium that they're most excited about, a podcast, conducting research, who's the audience they want to focus on, and how we bring this together to life into a project. So deconstructing Phoebe, deconstructing, that's her mentor's name, sorry. Deconstructing Rose started as a girl who always loved fashion. She's also super social, popular, has a good ability to influence others. We told her influence. She's a natural leader. She's a natural marketer, and helped her realize she could turn this passion for fashion and leadership and influencing others into a business. And again, finally finding that person that she looks up to, she thinks is cool, she wants to be like, who's her mentor to pave the way forward and show her what's possible. And the result is an amazing business and something that she's now scaling to take to the next level. And as we said with Carson, similarly, figuring out what's she interested in, what does she like, how do we get a win under her belt and show her what she's capable of, and then run with that. And then Carson, you could see at the end of 9th grade, taught all these 6th graders Intro to Investing in Financial Literacy. And I was the fortunate keynote speaker. And so what's kind of different about Curious Cardinals? It's the Curious Cardinals method, the quality of our mentors, the personalization of the match. So our mentors are amazing. They're presidents of clubs, winners of awards, Rhodes Scholars, D1 athletes. They're the best of the best. And so the quality of our mentors is something we really pride ourselves in, especially in this AI era. If we're going to do human, we say we're going to do human better than anyone. We're going to get the most talented, extraordinary humans to be the role models for your kids. This is Natasha. Natasha went to Stanford, was a Fulbright scholar, has had her writing published in Cosmopolitan to the Boston Globe. She works with high school girls on journalism and entrepreneurship passion projects. This is Andy. He graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern. He actually has ADHD. He loves the New York Rangers. He works with younger boys with ADHD on executive function skills applied to academics, as well as theater passion projects. So again, you can see we find people who are the best at what they do and make hyper-personalized matches. You might be wondering, reliable college students, how is that possible? Well, we're super selective with who we bring on. We have a very rigorous application process. We have quite extensive onboarding and ongoing training and support. We have a robust curriculum library. We have folks on our team from Harvard and Stanford Graduate School of Education, really talented learning designers building the resources and materials for our mentors. And then finally, on a monthly basis, our platform gives mentors feedback on best practices, what they're doing well, what they can do better. So they're continually up-leveling with us. What is the Curious Cardinals method? All engagements set SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, results-oriented, time-bound. So if you are a 4th grader, if you are a senior, you're learning to set SMART goals. It's Socratic method. It's not about lecturing and monologuing, but it's about pulling the answer out and guiding a kid to find clarity in an interactive, engaging way. And then finally, driving and documenting learning milestones. All engagements, whether it's academic math help or conducting research on renewable battery alternatives, start and end in the same way. Starts with a check-in, usually it's rosebud thorn, because that relationship piece is really key. And it's also cool to hear not just your students update, but what's the rosebud thorn of a Stanford student? Then you set a goal for the engagement. What does success look like today? We tell our mentors that being a great mentor is like being a great manager. You set clarity, you drive outcomes, and you're all about delivering real accountability for the goals you set for your mentee. And then finally, at the end of the session, you reflect, what did we learn today? What went well? What didn't go well? What are we doing for next time to stay on track? And thus far, we've worked with students around the globe. It feels like we're just getting started. And how it works to sign up, and students and mentors meet weekly. It happens on the platform. After every session, you get lesson notes summarizing what they learned, what are action items from here. Every 4 sessions, you get a report, a little bit more holistic overview of what progress has been made and where this is going. And then on a quarterly basis, you get student stories, which is really documenting the key learning milestones achieved, skills developed, progress made. And then on that quarterly basis, we encourage setting new goals. You can see this is what the lesson notes look like. You get them via email. You can access them on the platform. And this is what the student stories look like, a bit more dynamic and usually including what those awesome deliverables are that students are working towards. And then finally, we talked about the session structure. You might wonder, how do you actually make sure mentors adhere to that? We use technology on the back end to actually make sure that mentors have set those goals, have done those check-ins, have reflected on the learning, and then we're able to dynamically give feedback to the mentors with these AI features embedded in our platform. So how to sign up from here if you want to get started. You have a consultation call with our team. We want to know all about you, your student, their interests, their goals, their dream mentor, what success looks like. We follow up with a mentor match and a student profile. And if all looks good, you are sent back a mentor recommendation and get started for weekly meetings with your mentor. That is it. We are very excited. Please, Des. And we'll open it up to questions after Des speaks.
I just wanted to mention 2 other things that I think were really valuable for us as a family. So one was the notes that come afterwards for each of the sessions. It just helps get us a little grounded with the conversations that he's having with his mentors. And I love it because I get an email automatically and I can open it and read what they worked on. And then it also helps me have conversation starters with Sebastian too about like what's going on. So that has been like honestly a godsend. So thank you guys for that. And then the other thing I was going to mention is when we started, I remember thinking like the first couple times that we first met with our first mentor, I was like, is this going to stick? Is this going to work? And I remember literally it was the third time that they met, and I could see all of a sudden that he was excited to see him and like connect with him because they were going to talk about some soccer things and then they were going to do the math stuff. So, because Sebastian was really into soccer at that time. So it was just, again, I think you have to give the thing that's magic is the connection of the mentor. I love the fact that Audrey brought the fact of like you have such a plethora of different mentors in the ecosystem. But if like Sebastian is ADHD, he's also dyslexic. Knowing that someone is a mentor that has those same, things in their life as well too, really resonates with the child. And I feel like for Sebastian, it really meant a lot to him that especially his first mentor, understood that and had gone through those challenges as he was going through school as well too. So those are the things that really mattered to us, and we could see that bond happening because they had similarities, which I thought was really, really cool to see. So I feel like that's the magic that Curious Cardinals brings, and I just wanted to share that with the other parents too.
Thank you, Des. We'll open it up to questions anyone has. And Des was not going anywhere, so you can get the parent
Yes.
POV too.
Yeah, of course.
A quick question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And I really appreciate the case study, and I really appreciate the overview. I had a question, and in terms of like the meetings, I'm guessing during the meetings there's a lot of work, there's a lot of discussion, there's fun as well. Let's say they start on a project and your child has a question. Do they get an opportunity to email their mentor, talk to their mentor? What happens in terms of guidance with the mentor after that call? If anyone could speak to that. Yeah.
Please, Des. And then I'll let Jules, a mentor, speak. Parent and mentor, you speak.
So I'm going to, one thing that I saw, right, so I don't know if you heard the first project or the current project that Sebastian's working on is building an AI agent. And after that first meeting, he had all these questions. You could just see he was like, his mind was racing. So we ended up creating a little doc with the questions he wanted to ask. And so that the next time he saw him, he could like, hey, how does this work? Hey, I'm not sure how to actually find that API. Do I need to open an account? Like he was asking him all these things. So we did this something in the interim because literally his mind was racing. He's like, Mom, I'm going to make a ton of money, but I'm like kind of confused on how to get started. So it was really cute. So we created a Google Doc, and I think we actually emailed maybe once, but I know the next time he met with him, he's like, I have these questions for you. So that was how we basically approached this last time.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
And I can share more. We now have amazing communications on our platform, which is super amazing. But I can speak to my own experience mentoring for the past couple years that I was texting a student this morning, checking in with her. I help her with, her name's Estelle, she's in 8th grade, and I help her with academic support for her English class. And I was checking in, asking about her assignments, making sure we do a little bit of executive functioning work and managing everything, making sure, hey, do you have any missing assignments right now? What's going on? We can do all the check-ins. Mentors are really great accountability buddies. And then on the flip side of that, for students who are wanting to get ahead and super on top of it, I've had students working on other projects who will send me their work in between. I do a lot of photography mentoring, so I'll ask to review. I'll say, like, can you share this in advance so I can see the photos that you take, and then we can make the most of our time together? Or essay feedback, being able to read and review and say, okay, this way when we're meeting together, we can make the most of the time. But I think mentors are super good about being in contact. This is relationship building. It's not just 1 hour a week. We really care about our students. It's not transactional, so we're always here to help.
And I think just for you, whatever the situation is, as long as you're super clear and honest with us in the consultation call, we can make the match accordingly. So if your kid is unresponsive and is going to need a mentor who's persistent with them, please tell us that. If your kid is someone who's going to need a little bit more than once a week help, please tell us that. The more honest you are in the consultation call, the better we can do our job in making sure we identify the best match and the type of mentor who will best meet your child's needs.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I was, Audrey, I was just going to say, as you know, as a parent of a pre-med student in college, I think some of the things that we are kind of focusing on, to me, it's always been, and like I said, my kids are older now, but finding a person who can actually empower you and help you bring that confidence, to me, is such a more powerful way of teaching versus teaching you a method of, okay, 2 + 2 = 4, right? To me, like, I have seen this journey with my children. I see my older child thriving in college, and it's all about finding those mentors early on that give you that curiosity, that teach you as you're older to find that confidence within you, right? I think that, to me, it's almost like it's foundational to what's going to come. And oftentimes, like Des said it so beautifully, very close friend of mine, is you have to find somebody you can connect with, right? Everybody can teach math, but who can teach it to you the way you want to learn it and give you that confidence? And whether it is learning math through building planes, or it's learning math because you're a D1 athlete playing polo and you need to do some mental math constantly, like whatever it is. But I think for me, all that I had the pleasure of meeting Audrey. I think, to me, that is something that I feel very passionate about. And that's advice. Des knows I give free advice to everybody who'll take it. But I think it's very important because you have to kind of build for the future, is my 2 cents.
Yes, definitely. That is the magic on it. Honestly, it is. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. You can write in the chat. You can speak out loud. We love questions. How long is a typical relationship? So it depends. Yeah, Des, you've had various.
Yeah, we've had 3 mentors, or is it 3 or 4? I think we've had 3. I would say the first one was almost a year long. But again, he had graduated and moved on, so we had to find a new one. And so currently with his Spanish one, I would say it's been the last like 4 months-ish. And then recently with this new agent project, it's been the last few weeks. But I already can tell that Sebastian's going to be lifelong friends with both of them. It's amazing to see how those relationships form. So I think it's, I mean, he was already like, I wonder if I can go into business with Ani. I was like, what? You're 11. So it's just so cute that he's like already thinking that way. But I do think actually, with the best part, and this is something that's really important, Sebastian's like, these are my friends. Like, I think he thinks of them as friends, which is really cool.
I love that. We aim to align on a kind of minimum timeline. Of course, things can come up, but usually it at least is for the school year. And then if it goes really well, and availability aligns, sometimes these are multi-year relationships. Of course, it's all pending shared availability. I will admit the number one piece of feedback we get is scheduling. So if you get a mentor and the scheduling doesn't work, you have to let us know ASAP. And that's why on the call, we will ask what times work. Let us know now, because we want to make sure we find someone. These are very ambitious college and grad students, so their scheduling is limited. So we want to make sure we find someone whose availability aligns with yours. But if things go well, these are often multi-year relationships. My first mentee I worked with from 8th to 12th grade. She's now a sophomore at Cornell, mentoring 3 younger girls through Curious Cardinals. And then someone asked, should the kid be involved in the consultation call? If your child is a high schooler, 100%. If they are middle school, encourage. If they were lower schooler, again, not necessary. I think it's always great, even if your kid joins 10 minutes of the call, so they feel like they have agency and they get to weigh in and feel bought into the process. But if they're high schoolers, it's pretty necessary, because we really want to understand who do they look up to, what are their interests, how do they show up on the call, and have what is the kind of dynamic they're going to set. But it is not necessary. And I would just think about your child. Do you feel like you know them and what they want? And again, a lot of people ask me, how do you tell your kid about Curious Cardinals? I think telling them this was started by college students. It's matching you to a cool older college kid to help you achieve your goals. I want this to be your thing. And then if you let them have the call themselves, that's another empowering way, again, for them to feel in the driver's seat with the whole experience. Another question is, what is typical time commitment? It's usually hour-long sessions. Sometimes we'll do 30 minutes if they're lower schoolers, but it's really an hour per week. And is it a one-time per week meeting with the mentor, or more frequent? It depends. This is, again, where you need to stay on the console call what you're looking for. For passion projects, it's typically once a week. Sometimes we have a few students who are working, for example, towards the Scholastic Art and Writing competition this December. So they're meeting twice a week because they have to achieve this goal in a smaller timeline. For academics, often it's like a one time a week at least, and then they have additional sessions as academic needs come up. Some people bake in and start up front, especially if it's executive function or a kid who has ADHD, they start with 2 times a week minimum, so they actually get the alignment up front. And we can ask for weekends. You can ask for any time. These are college kids. You can meet anytime as long as you tell us up front so we can match with someone who can do those times. We do try and match with local mentors. Curious Cardinals runs virtually. That's how we're able to make magical matches. We match our student to someone. We don't think of geography as part of the thing. Of course, for folks like Des who are near Stanford, sometimes they get to meet up in person, or the student will come meet them at Stanford every once in a while, but that's not how engagements are structured. So it all happens virtually, and because our mentors are digitally native, we know how to make Zoom learning engaging and dynamic and work.
It was only because Darwin was graduating. I think that was the only reason we got to do that last one in person together, and he was moving to LA. So we got lucky.
And we have some mentor students who want to go tour Yale or Northwestern just to meet their mentor. So we have a whole photo album of mentor-mentee meetups.
Super special.
Sometimes Audrey was there. I got to meet one of my former students last week, which is super sweet and exciting. But that was long after we worked together because he's now at Stanford himself. So I think it's a great way to, as Des was sharing, stay connected and stay in touch with people. And I'm having a catch-up call with another former student who's now at Northwestern, which is where I went. So the options are endless, even if it's not possible to meet in person while you're actively meeting with the student.
And Des, I answered, I think the consultation call, like if they're a high schooler, they definitely should be involved. I don't think Sebastian ever joined a consult call. So if there's anything you'd speak to that.
He didn't. I would say this because my kids are a little bit on the younger side. I really did share what I was, more trying to find a match for. So like his interests, what similarities, things that they're like focused on with school that could be interesting for Sebastian. So I know I gave a lot of that detail up front. So I think that really did help though. And oddly enough, like I think you guys gave us a few different options. And I remember the first one we saw was Darwin, for especially on his first mentor. And he was like, I made him read him actually. So he got to choose, which was kind of cool. And I think that's also why I think it worked really well, because he knew what to expect when he went to his first call as well.
Yeah, students love seeing the bios.
The bios are great. They really help.
Other than weekly reports, is there an expectation for more parental involvement? And what scenarios would you expect parents to be involved, help the mentor-mentee relationship, or enable a project? That's a great question. I'll answer high level, and then again, would love Des and Jules to chime in. So you get session notes after each session. After every 4 sessions, you get a more holistic report. And on a quarterly basis, you get a student report, which is way more comprehensive. I would say this is something where you have to advocate for your needs and be honest with us up front about who your kid is and what their needs are. So for a lot of the younger students, parents are more involved. Sometimes they say hello at the beginning of the session to have a relationship or rapport with the mentor. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes parents schedule check-ins and join part of the sessions every once in a while. And the older a kid is, the more we want them, again, to take agency over this experience and really have the driver's seat. But the parent feedback loop's essential. And I would say one of the ways families get the most value out of us is the parents having their own relationship with a mentor. A lot of high school parents say that they will use it, whatever they say goes in one ear, out the next. But when a mentor says it, their kid listens. And so they might say, hey, Sebastian's really stressed for Friday's test. Don't say I said anything, but can you make sure they're doing okay? Can you encourage them to sleep this week? And then the mentor can say, how's school going? What's going on? And then they said, I'm so stressed. And they go, make sure you don't compromise sleep. And then the student will tell mom or dad, my mentor told me I should really not compromise sleep. We hear a lot of stories like this. So I would say, honestly, probably one of the best ways you can make the most out of the Curious Cardinals relationship is establishing a healthy level of involvement. I wouldn't want to have you micromanage it or get too involved where you get in the way and potentially taint it. But I think knowing that your communication, your visibility is empowering and supportive. And of course, the mentor wants to hear feedback from you and the student. And so you also being clear with us in the consultation call up front about who your child is and what type of support they need. A lot of kids are very independent. Parents don't need to be involved at all. And some kids, they do need to kind of tag team with the mentor so that the kid gets the support and reminders and accountability they need to be successful in the engagement.
When we started, Sebastian was 9, so I thought like, oh, I have to be there and just like listen in. So I was there for the first couple sessions, and then literally near the end, at like the third or fourth, Sebastian's like, can you please go, Mom? I don't think you need to be here. I'm like, okay. And actually, just recently when he started this passion project with Ani, the first meeting, I was very involved. Like I was asking questions with him, you know, basically trying to get involved. And then Sebastian's like, can you go, Mom? Stop it. Like, this is my time. And I was like, okay. So I realized really quickly that for him, it's like, it's his project. Yeah. It's his like thing that he's excited about. And he doesn't want me to be involved. But I do, this is the one thing I do really, I try to do all the time is I read the notes so I can just have a conversation with him. I'm like, oh, you learned that. Interesting. Tell me. Because now I'm asking him like, what's your next thing that you want to build based off of this current project? Because he now knows how to like do the interface and like he's learned a lot of stuff, which is really great. So yeah.
A lot of parents love the notes as something to ask their kid about instead of just how was your day, which usually gets a one-word answer. And actually asking specific follow-ups has been a lot of the positive feedback we get. Jules, anything else you would say on the range of parental involvement?
I would say to echo that, we don't want you to feel like you have to nag your kid. The mentor is here to be the accountability buddy and project manager. So it is more about thinking about the things you can talk about. So in the session notes, conversation starters for dinner, instead of your kid being, you're like, what'd you do? Not stuff, like, and giving vague answers, you can say like, I heard you're working on this really cool thing, and like insert Des can be like, you're building XYZ and I want to hear or show me this tool. I want to see it in action. And I think also as mentors, we love hearing feedback from parents. So whether it's sending, here are the goals we set for this quarter. Let me know if there's anything you want me to add or anything you think is missing. But I don't think there needs to be a super high level of involvement. I think it really varies on the different students I've worked with, but like Audrey said, it depends on who your kid is and how much they communicate. So if a student is communicating back and forth with me a ton and I have all the context I need, then I'm all set. But if it's hard for us to connect or get in touch with your student, then we might need a little bit more support from you as a parent to facilitate that, at least at first, until we've built the muscle.
Any other questions that we can answer? And if not, Jules will send the link to the consultation call if you want to schedule in the chat again. Des, we're so grateful. We have such an amazing community where
Thank you.
we get to make the Curious Cardinals parents our own mentors. Yeah. And so we are so lucky that we attract such brilliant, dynamic business leaders and trailblazers like Des and Karuna. We get to learn from all the amazing parents in our community. So thank you all for being here. And thank you, Des and Karuna, for your time.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Honestly, this is great.
The leave button on the right.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Bye. All right. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Bye.